Well, Jeff Lebby just laid it all out. What worked, what didn't, and why Mississippi State's best players have to play better. We're breaking down what he said and what it means for week 2. Let's go.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bet now. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got football news for you today. An injury update. Jeff Lebby provided an update on 3 starters heading into the Arizona State game. Obviously a big game. And then Landon and I are going to recap some of the national games. One of our quote-unquote rivals is not 1-0. Don't know that feeling. We'll talk about that a little later. But first, we got to dive into Lebby's press conference. He does it every single Monday. Just kind of the things that kind of stood out to Landon and I heading into Arizona State week. Obviously, massive week for Mississippi State to kind of show what kind of team they can be this year. But some quick takeaways. One of the things that stood out to me was he was asked about the offensive line. And for those that don't know Jeff Lebby's background, he played on the offensive line in college at Oklahoma, then obviously has coached several positions, and he's mainly been more known for a quarterback, but he knows what the offensive line is supposed to look like, especially when he was on those Oklahoma teams. It was early 2000s. An injury made him coach, so that was when Oklahoma was really good. And I'm not saying they're a bad program, but they were really good at that point. So he knows what it looks like, and obviously Phil Lodeholt played at Oklahoma. He knows what it looks like as well. Played in the NFL for a long time too. But he was asked about the offensive line, and one thing you'll know about Lebby is he is very critical about the offense as a whole. He always is. But he said it was inconsistent. He said we saw some really good moments, really good things, and then we had some things we have to take out of our game. He said that's at every position. The stress today was that our best players have to play better. It's not just those guys that are 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the unit. Our best players have to continue to play better. He said our guys have taken to that. We need that growth from week 1 to week 2. We understand that and look forward to the challenge. And I know he's talking about the offensive line, but that's the case for the whole offense and defense as a whole heading into the Arizona State game. Best players have to play better.
Yeah, they have to. And I mean, we talked about that offensive line a lot in yesterday's show when we were recapping it, because the beginning of the game, it was kind of rough. The offense was inconsistent, and some of it came from them. Like they didn't hold up great in pass protection at times, had some trouble opening holes at the beginning with the run game, but they kind of settled in and did get it going. But you do have to see a jump because, we talked about it. We thought Southern Miss, good test to open the season. You should be better than them, but it's not a pushover game. Arizona State is going to come with a much better defensive line. Right. And linebackers, so you're going to need to see that step, and it has to be a pretty big one to not have a whole game look like what the first half of this last week looked like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he also mentioned that where we talked about the third quarter picking up. Yesterday, you just mentioned it. He said they asked how that collection of 5 in the third quarter, how much better do you think they did? He said, I felt good about the way we executed, especially in the third quarter. We played cleaner. The ball was distributed in a good way from the quarterback position with Blake, and we made some plays, complimentary plays in the third quarter. And we talked about that. If you listened to the show yesterday, you remember that conversation where we said the third quarter is what it looks like. Yeah. That's what it's supposed to look like. When Landon and I talked all offseason about the offense needs to take the jump, because when you have an offensive-minded head coach, that position group has to take a massive jump in year 2. The other position group has to take a jump as well, but it's not as critical for him to take a massive jump as it is whatever position group the head coach specializes in. Because if he's not able to improve that unit, why is he the head coach?
Right.
Well, the first half, Landon and I are both like, this is not a jump. This may be worse than last year. If it's not worse, it's very similar to last year. third quarter was the jump that we expected to see. 21 points in the third quarter, dominated the running game with Fluff, with Booth, and just took over that game completely and put that game away in the third quarter. That's what it was supposed to look like. And you need to see that going forward, because it can't just be a flash. And we're glad we saw the flash, because you need to know that the flash is there, but it needs to be consistent, which is something he mentioned in the first quote, where it was a lot of inconsistencies.
Yes, it was. And he says he liked the 5 that were in that third quarter. And it's kind of interesting trying to figure out, I mean, without going back and pausing it and really just like freeze framing middle of the third quarter who was on the line, trying to figure out who it was, because that's when we saw Jimothy Lewis getting in the game.
Yes,
was at that point. I know Albert Reese moved to guard off of left tackle. Blake Steen got hurt at one point, and was that so? It's an interesting collection of guys that's when it started to work. Now, some of it could have just been talent and size taking over at that point, just kind of wearing them down. So it's hard to say after 1 week that, yes, those are the 5 you roll with. But that has to be better. And from just overall offensive execution needs to improve. And Lebby he was asked about Brennan Thompson. And he said there's more to come with Brennan Thompson and the whole offense, which we saw it, especially once again in that third quarter. He became like the guy they were kind of trying to feed the ball to. Had some huge plays, came up big in some quick, the quick out routes, get 5, 6, 7 yards. So, I guess obviously we knew he'd kind of be the lead dog in terms of receivers, but it seems like the plan is going to be to feature him even more.
Yeah, and again, that was another one that we talked about yesterday. Brennan Thompson looked really good, and I actually went back and looked at his weight. It only shows he's listed 2 pounds heavier than he was last year, but it must be muscle, because
he looks
looking at him playing in that game, or maybe it was a good camera angle. Whatever it is, maybe he needs to talk to them, say, hey, always show that camera angle. Because you go watch him at Oklahoma, and he looks tiny. He looks very slender and everything. But on Monday or on Saturday's game, his shoulders looked broader. He just looked bigger. He looked thicker, that was kind of a question with him, because he is such a speed receiver. And we talked about it this offseason. If you're small but you're a speed receiver, you can get pushed around by bigger DBs. But on Saturday when we saw him, that didn't look like someone that should struggle with people pushing around. Now, he still will. He's still only listed at 170. It's not like he's now 190 or 200 pounds, but he's still listed. And you don't want him to be that big at 5'9", because you're going to lose some of that speed, and that's what makes him special. But he looked like a guy that won't get muscled around, and that is very positive to see early. Now, the test is Arizona State, and so if he gets pushed around, then that throws everything out the window.
Yeah, and we'll see Saturday if it was a good camera angle. He's back out there looking. But no, you're right. He looked significantly bigger. I'm not real sure what maybe just some new shoulder pads, got a little bit bigger size. I'm not sure what it was, but he played stronger.
He did.
It was a small sample size of what we saw of him at Oklahoma, so it's not like we had years of tape and then all of a sudden he's coming back significant. But he did seem to play stronger. Play strength looked very good, and he didn't lose any speed. So
he definitely did not lose that speed. We saw that on the big 51-yard run he had. That should have been a touchdown. It was called back, but he definitely did not lose that speed. But all right, coming up next, Jeff Lebby also updated on 3 starters who are injured. Are they going to be available for Arizona State? We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their third master perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today and score some serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. At supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. And guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head to rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And real quick, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to LockedOnPodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's LockedOnPodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. All right, Landon, let's get into some injury updates. So offensive lineman Luke Work, cornerback Jet Jefferson, and Blake Steen, starting right tackle Blake Steen. Jefferson and Work, potential starters. Blake Steen did start at right tackle, but left the game just before halftime and never returned to the game. And that's, we were mentioning last segment about the 5 out there that played really well. That was without Blake Steen. Lebby said on Monday, I feel good about Luke, not great. To me, it's all about tomorrow's practice, which is obviously today's practice. Mm-hmm. And how are these guys functioning as we go into a really physical, long, hard practice on Tuesday? That's when we can really create an understanding of if these guys are going to be ready. Same for Blake. Jet, I'm not ready to say he'll even be ready to go tomorrow morning for us to really evaluate him. His evaluation will happen a little later in the week. Doesn't sound like Jet will play. Sounds a little more promising for Luke and Blake, but doesn't even sound very promising for them either.
No, it doesn't. And yeah, it says, Jet was on a scooter at the game on Saturday. So it'd be a little bit shocking, honestly, if he did play. It'll be interesting to see what happens, especially when it's hard to play doctor when you don't really even know what the answers are, what those injuries are. So, but I just gut feeling, I feel like Blake will be available. I think he'll be out there. But I would be shocked if Luke Work is, because if he's still working his way back and he hasn't been able to practice regularly, even if he's really healthy, he probably is not really going to be in the rotation.
Well, and Work was spotted with a boot on his right foot. So that can mean a lot of things. It can be something as small as a sprain, which, that can linger. That kind of stuff can linger. Obviously, D'Angelo Brumfield started at corner instead of Jefferson. And I thought he played really good, but Jefferson had his foot in a wrap while moving on a scooter during the game. So it didn't sound super promising for him either. If those guys are on a scooter and in a boot, I just don't see them playing. Now, it is important to note when Steen came out, Albert Maurice moved from left tackle to right tackle, and that's when Jimothy Lewis came in to play left tackle. So I would kind of assume that's what they go for. Mm-hmm. If Steen can give it a go, maybe he goes in. He kind of struggled in the game, and like we mentioned, they kind of got it going in the third quarter with that other lineup in. I don't think these guys are going to be available. Which the one thing I will say that will stink is because Jimothy Lewis is a freshman and Steen has a lot of experience. So going against Arizona State, you would rather have Steen in there. But it doesn't. I don't think those are promising words on those three.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He also mentioned Jamil Burrows, who did not play week 1 defensive tackle, and he just said he hopes to see more. He'll see on Tuesday, basically. We'll find out if he can play. So that's another one that we're kind of – I mean, there's nothing to go on there. When the coach is like, we'll see. All we can do is speculate. That one, since we don't even really have anything like a boot or a scooter to speculate about what's going on with his injuries. So maybe he gets in the rotation. I mean, the defensive line looked good. So, but obviously you want to add a guy who's projected to be one of your starters out there. So bringing him in would be great. But again, I don't know if we're going to see him suit up yet either.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the defensive line did play well. Will Whitson actually was named SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week, so shout out to him. We talked.
Still didn't get rid of that "or" on the depth chart.
Yeah, can't get rid of the "or." But yeah, no, he was really good. But yeah, with the injuries, the biggest loss is the experience that you're getting from these guys. And Jacoby Jackson's obviously has experience, and he was listed as an "or" with work at guard. Obviously, he got the start. I think he probably would have started if work was even available, but it's nice to have that as a backup, and so you can kind of rotate a little more, because now you're going to go in a game where you're probably not going to be able to rotate Jackson very much, and that's kind of the bummer there, because you like to go up tempo. Obviously, we've talked about that a lot, and you really need to go, and Lebby talked about this, eight deep is kind of what you got to go on the offensive line, and so not being able to do that with work out, with possibly Blake Steen out as well. Those are big losses going into a game that we talked about yesterday. It's a winnable game. We've talked about it all offseason. Arizona State didn't do anything in week 1 that made us go, oh, okay, they're legit. Like Tennessee made us do that. Missouri made us even do that, where we're like, oh, okay, those games looked more winnable before Saturday. Arizona State didn't do that to us. And so it looked even more winnable than before. But if you're losing that experience on the offensive line, and you already weren't a deep offensive line, because it's still a rebuild and a work in progress, that's tough.
Yeah, that one hurts. And you want to be able to find your 5 guys. Like we talk about a lot with the cohesion. You want to be able to find them from rotating, not find them because you have to, because you're losing linemen every week and you're forced to play certain people. And I mean, it's great if that group does come together and becomes very good. That's not the way you want to do it, especially when, I mean, Luke worked very talented young lineman. I mean, I think he could be very good. Steen, one of the most experienced guys on this roster, who is very good. Like, I was surprised with how he struggled on Saturday. Those are guys that you don't want to lose, obviously. But I mean, when you're trying to put together a unit that has struggled in the past and has all these new faces on it, you don't want to lose 2 guys that you thought are going to be anchors.
Right.
So that becomes very challenging for a rebuilding offense.
Yep, for sure. All right, coming up next, 5 ranked teams went down this weekend. Landon and I will talk about it. Don't go anywhere.
The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love using FanDuel because of the same game parlays and the live betting. Because, you know, sometimes you want to add a little more excitement to a game, but you see the lines before and you're not too sure. But then you start watching it. Someone gets hot or someone's having a really rough day. Find their passing yards, rushing yards, whatever it is. Go over or under based off of what you've seen. It just adds a little more excitement to the game when you have something like that going on. And it's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to those Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And college football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. And I pulled up Game Time, and just a couple taps, I saw some really good deals. Talking your favorite college football games for as low as $25. And my favorite thing about Game Time is you get to see your seat. They have the whole 360 view where you see the field from the seat, so you know what your view is going to be before you get there. And honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've ever bought a ticket. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Real quick, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell over on YouTube. That will help us out and reach that 1,000 subscriber goal. We talked about it many times. We have that goal by early college football season. Close. We're almost at 900, so we're very close to that goal. So please help us out there. All right, Landon, 5 ranked teams went down, and things this weekend in week 1, and things started actually Thursday, where Boise State starts out 7-0 on South Florida, and then the Bulls go on a 34-0 run to rout Boise State off the field in the post-Ashton Jeanty era.
That was surprising. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could see a win happening, but I didn't think they were going to run him out of the building like that. I did see a lot of the jokes about how we should retroactively give Jeanty the Heisman because clearly no one else on that team knows how to play football. So, I mean,
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I was kind of and Travis was such a unicorn last year, so I understood it. But I just thought I had watched Boise State, and Jeanty was incredible. And when he was at least stymied even a little bit, the team didn't look near as good. Mm-hmm. And we saw it in the Penn State game. They were able to shut down Jeanty, and Madsen just isn't it, in my opinion. And he struggled, and they got beat. And he struggled in this one, and they got beat.
Yeah. But that one was surprising. And then, Saturday, more started dropping. I mean, obviously, that Ohio State-Texas game was kind of boring for about half of it.
Yeah, it was very good.
It was very slow moving. I think
2 great defenses, though.
Yes, very good defenses. I think maybe we can slow the Arch hype train down just a little bit, but I mean, that's a tough situation to make your first win.
Well, and this is what I was trying to say. Like, I think Arch has the potential to be really good, but all the hype and stuff was ridiculous after only 2 starts in his career. Yeah. Let him actually play. And the thing is you were setting him up for failure.
Oh, yeah.
Because playing in that environment to start the season would be tough for any quarterback out there, let alone a guy making his 3rd start of his career.
Right.
We saw Cade Klubnik at home, and many people think Klubnik is the best quarterback in college football.
Nope.
Looked terrible against LSU. And you expected Arch to be this great player and just have this amazing performance. That's a tough environment. And as we found out, Ohio State is very good on defense still, regardless of losing all those pieces. Jim Knowles is gone. Matt Patricia's in. They were still great on defense. But I will say he picked it up in the 4th. He threw for, I think, 120 yards in the 4th quarter and a touchdown. He looked better, looked a little more comfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have a really good rest of the season, but we should have seen that first game coming. LSU and Clemson just mentioned it. Klubnik was terrible in that game. Nussmeier looked good, and Klubnik had like a 31 QBR. Nussmeier's was over 80. A lot of people thought those were the 2 best quarterbacks entering the season. Nussmeier showed he's the best quarterback, or at least between the 2. LSU got the monkey off their back. Brian Kelly got the monkey off their back. Finally won a season opener for the first time since 2019, which obviously predates Kelly. LSU, they should be, top 5 when the poll comes out later today.
Oh yeah, they
maybe
definitely
top 3. Honestly, they look good.
They looked very good.
The thing was, the defense was bad last year. Defense looked really good on Saturday, and that's very typical of a Blake Baker unit. And I even heard Brian Kelly say on the Feinbaum show, he said the key was we were not giving Baker the players he needed to be successful, and that's what we did this offseason, and it showed.
Yeah, they looked really good, but of course the big one, Alabama going down.
DeBoer has to be his seat's got to be scorching.
It's DeBoer? No.
Yeah, I mean seriously, because
he's lost as many games to unranked teams
as Saban
did.
He's
lost discrepancy in game coach there.
And all 4 of those ranked opponents, he was double-digit favorites on. Saban only lost 6 times as a double-digit favorite in his 17 seasons. DeBoer's got 4. And that was a tall task to replace Saban no matter who the coach is. But he had a potential to build something special at Washington, and he gave that up to go to Alabama. Not faulting him. I understand it. Alabama's a premier program. But, man, and they were also talking about this on Feinbaum. Last year they go 9-3. They missed the playoff. Obviously, they have a loss to start the season. They have an 8-game stretch, and I need to bring this up. And in this stretch, they would have to go 7-1 in this 8-game stretch to not, fall to the 9-3 again. That is, let's see, Georgia on the road, Vanderbilt at home, Missouri on the road, Tennessee at home, South Carolina on the road, LSU at home, Oklahoma at home, and I guess they have Eastern Illinois mixed in. But then they go Auburn at the end of the year on the road. They have to go 7-1 in that stretch not to go 9-3. I don't see that happening. 6-2 during that stretch would be incredible, but now you're 9-3 again and not in the playoff, and he's probably out of a job.
Yeah, he came into a very rough spot, but it's not like all the good players left when Saban.
Right. They lost obviously Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin leaves as well.
Yeah, they lost a couple guys, but it's not like the cover was bare. He didn't have to rebuild. And it's looked bad.
They lost their identity on defense. Yeah, they're loafing. Dan Orlovsky actually posted it. He said he went back and watched the film. He counted 21 loafs, so basically no effort plays on defense. That doesn't happen in Saban's era. Like their identity's gone.
Yeah.
Real quick before we end it, did you see what Bill Belichick did? He total Bill Belichick move in his first game at North Carolina. So in the press box, for people that don't know, usually you have your depth chart up there, so you're able to look at it and see what the depth chart is. He listed every single position, had spaces under every single position, had no players.
That makes sense.
Total Belichick move. It is underway for sure. All right, what's another big moment on Locked On College Football fans? Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts at College Football Preview. Only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. We'll also post a pregame and a postgame reaction to every game for Mississippi State this season, so check that out as well. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.